It's 7:30. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, indeed. We'll just continue. Well, looking at this matter, you remember that NCAA, and they're coming up with some commentary about the Bombardier. Well, they'll explain to us. We're joined now by Mr. Joyce Nkemakolam, who is the Acting Director General of Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Well, interesting. Of course, this matter has been out there in public domain. And, of course, different perspectives, different shades of opinion do exist out there. But just give us your perspective. What actually transpired about this aircraft?
Actually, this is just a normal, occurrence in our day-to-day activity, as a regulator. It's unfortunate, getting so much interest, within the public domain, as you said, The aircraft in question had an issue with the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency in Accurate. Sometime I can be too exact on the date. And I got a call to say that they are being delayed. So I made a call to the managing director of the agency to say, what is the issue? He said, no, there is no issue. That the aircraft was just being processed for departure. And so we left it at that. Later in the day, somebody called me, maybe a journalist or so, asking me if the aircraft is grounded. And I made a statement. I said, emphatically, no, nobody grounded the aircraft. So that was just that. Eventually, it turned out that the aircraft departed normally, and then because of that issue, we started asking, what actually happened?
Sorry, did you say normally? Because we understand it was delayed for, is it about 2 hours?
No, from the information I got from the Airspace Management Agency, that didn't happen. It wasn't up to 2 hours anyway.
But it was delayed beyond the normal time?
Well,
normal time scheduled takeoff?
No, they insisted it didn't. Because as of the time they were being asked for the documents, necessary documents to enable them, give them the departure clearance, the aircraft had not called for startup. So you start calling for delay. You start, calculating delay based on the time you ask for startup. So if you're still processing your documents, that means you've not started up. So that is the way we calculate it.
Okay, so, all right, you were going to say something.
So they said no. So we eventually started asking questions. So what actually happened? Because we got news, the journalists started asking, and then I called up my people and said, let's have a look. Who is this? Who owns this aircraft? Why is it, inaccurate in the first place? So that's why we now got information on, the aircraft was a foreign registered aircraft. It's not registered. It's not in the Nigerian Civil Aviation Registration, books. And then we started looking at the books. And then it turned out that the clearance had expired, Because I think this was happening on the 16th or thereabouts.
When did it expire?
On the 2nd of April.
And it was discovered on the 25th?
Yeah, thereabout, yeah.
How come? Is that not a lapse on the part of the authorities if the license had expired since the 2nd and it was only discovered recently after they had been making several flights?
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is just a regulator. We give you a license and we expect you to abide by the spirit of, the contents of that license. So we don't go running after people. We give you a license. We expect that you should adhere to the restrictions or the limitations of that license. So, in fact, we had thought that aircraft had left. So, since it is still here and operating, then we ask questions.
So, what is the current position of NCAA on that aircraft as we speak?
The aircraft, as far as we're concerned, has violated, what do they call it? It's an airspace violation. That's what we call it, an airspace violation. Being an airspace violation, there should be, it's under the purview of NAMA to actually deal with that. Ours is that it has violated, so there are sanctions attached to that if there's a violation.
There have been several festivals, maybe before we go into the controversy itself.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about not knowing when these things, that you expect that those who sought the license will seek to renew them. But one would say, then why are you the regulator? The role of the regulator is to make sure that things like that, lapses like that do not happen. They would also imagine that it's possible that there are many other aircraft operating like that, maybe who haven't sought a renewal of their license, but are still going up and down. How many of these does the NCAA know about?
What happens is that if we give you a license and that license is to expire, maybe say today, you still have a leeway. They still give you a grace period of 48 hours.
2 days.
2 days.
There's a department which monitors that.